I visited the actual location of my favorite 100 famous views of Edo painted by Hiroshige Ando to see what the scene looks like today. The Onmayagashi Ferry in number 105 depicts a night scene of a ferry crossing of the Sumida River that departs from and arrives at the Onmaya Riverbank, a little downstream of the present-day Umayabashi Bridge. Please first check where this place was located. It is located about 1 about 4 kilometers northeast of Edo Castle. The area is surrounded by a red dotted line. Please see a slightly enlarged map. In the Edo period, there were no bridges in this area, and there was a ferry on the Sumida River between Kuramae-bashi and Umayabashi Bridge, that carried people to the other side of the river by boat. This is indicated by the red dashed line. Let's cover this with a map of the time. The right bank of the Sumida River in this area was lined with warehouses for a distance of 700 meters. These warehouses, called Asakusa-okura, were used to store the annual rice tribute paid to the shogunate. To the north, in Miyashicho, there were stables for horses kept by the shogunate, and the ferry from and to these stables was called Onmayagashi Ferry. The location of Hiroshige's viewpoint is shown in red gradient. Let's take a closer look at Hiroshige's painting. On the right side of the painting is an oak tree growing from the bank of the Asakusa-okura, with willow branches also hanging down from it. The whole scene has a mysterious nighttime feel to it. On the other side of the river is Honjo Ishiharacho, and the bridge over the small moat is Umayabashi Bridge. Since the Sumida River is the main distribution route, boatmen carrying rafts and board boats carrying luggage and people are also depicted, and a ferry boat coming from the opposite bank on the left is approaching the shore. The two women with red sashes riding in a bow are nighthawks, and the man sitting on the left is a nighthawk's tout and protector, called Gyu. The ferry was designated as a ferry in 1690, and records show that there were 8 ferry boats, 14 boatmen, and 4 watchmen. The fee was 2 mon, about 30 yen in today's value, per person, and there was no charge for samurai. Hiroshige also depicted this Onmayagashi Ferry in his 100 Famous Views of Edo in View 61. He depicted the Onmayagashi Ferry crossing from downstream over the Pine of Success. This is a night view from the middle of Asakusa-okura looking upstream toward Umayabashi Bridge. There was another ferry called Fujimi no Ferry on the Honjo side from the Pine of Success. Katsushika Hakusei depicted this in his 36 Views of Mt. Fuji. This is the view of Mount Fuji from the opposite side of the river over the Ryogoku Bridge. As expected of Hakusei, it is a magnificent view. Here again, please see the map. Where did these nighthawks come from? This area was famous as a town where nighthawks lived, and they crossed the Sumida River from here to Kanda and Asakusa area to do business. The map of those days is shown on the Honjo side. At the same time that Hiroshige was gaining popularity for his 100 Famous Views of Edo, his great friend Toyokuni Utagawa was gaining popularity for his series 100 Famous Beauties of Edo. In his series, Toyokuni depicted women of the same sex and manners. On the left is a prostitute from Shinyashihara, a brothel authorized by the shogunate, and on the right is a nighthawk accompanied by a jiu. Nighthawks were a type of street prostitute in the Edo period, prostitutes who came out at night and prostituted themselves in the open air or in temporary huts. They were always accompanied by a bouncer called a jiu to protect them from customers who ran away without paying or who made false accusations or were violent. In the Edo period, the typical fee for a prostitute in Shinyashihara was about 500 to 2,000 mon, or about $150 to $250 in today's terms. On the other hand, the nighthawks on the right, the lowest class of prostitutes, painted white from the neck up, wore a cotton kimono with a hood over it, always held one end of the hood in her mouth, and carried a sheet of mats with her while performing sexual services in the open air. The fee for this service was 24 mon, which is about $4 to $8 in today's value. Since the price was close to the price of a bowl of buckwheat noodles at that time, the customers were mostly low-paid laborers and low-ranking servants of samurai and merchant families. I actually visited this location. It seems that the Metropolitan Expressway Route 6 runs in front of the beautifully revetted Sumida River Terrace, and the area around Lion's Honjo Research Institute, which is located after it, was the arrival and departure point for the Honjo side of the river. A little further downstream, around here, is the start-finish point on the Sumida River right bank of the Onmayagashi Ferry. Looking upstream, Umayabashi Bridge and the Tokyo Sky Tree can be seen beyond it. I have tried to fit the current photo into Hiroshige's painting. I darkened the daytime photo to match only the atmosphere. The main motif of Hiroshige's painting this time is nighthawks, and it is said that there were as many as 4,000 of them in Edo at that time. The nighthawkers included women from poor families, women who had been prostitutes, and middle-aged women who were poor. They ranged widely in age, with some being as old as 70 years old. Even though they were called prostitutes of the lowest class, they were a common sight in Edo, appearing here and there in the town at night. They were often policed by the shogunate under the name of nighthawk hunting because they were unauthorized, even though they appeared with the same frequency as today's convenience stores. This was a form of bullying by the shogunate, which was unable to collect taxes from these women. On the other hand, Edo citizens seemed to look at them warmly as ordinary working women. If you look closely, you can see that both of the white-painted nighthawks have very humorous faces. We can feel Hiroshige's gentle gaze toward them.